Hello, wrestling fans, and happy Memorial Day weekend. Welcome to the latest episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast. The Brothers Maxon here with you. I'm Nate. That's Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
And on this week's show, we are going to discuss rivalries. I had a new, and I guess it's not new. Every podcast we've done top 10s, and everybody does top 10s and top 5s and everything. But the way we're going to format this on our show now is we're going to call it High Five, Low Five. We're going to have any random topic, maybe me or Aaron or somebody else that's going to be on the show will come up with, and we will each share our top 5 of said topic and our bottom 5 of said topic.
Yes. And they won't always necessarily be wrestling.
Right. Yes. It's not always going to be wrestling. And the way, I don't know, let me discuss this with you now, Aaron. We'll just do this right here in the air of how the sausage is made. Would you like to?
We'll do it live.
If we start at 5, would you like to go back and forth doing our top 5 and our low 5, or would you like to go back and forth with I do a top 5, I do a low 5, you do a top 5, you do a low 5?
Whatever you want, man. It's your idea. However you want to do
it. Like Michael Hayes would say, it's my ideal. Hey man, hey, got an ideal. Before we start, this week's topic, 1990s rivalries, our top 5 and low, our high 5 and low 5 90s rivalries. And before we start that, I do want to recommend, if you want to, you can join our Facebook group, the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network on Facebook. Ask to enter, and we will let you in. I've even let bots in by accident, I think. And also, if you don't want to join the group, though. It's fun. We have conversations. We play, I do tournaments sometimes. Aaron does tournaments sometimes. But you can also we also have a Facebook page that you can just like out there. That is also the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network. Just updates you when the new episodes are out and such. Plus, you can join us, same name, on YouTube if you prefer to listen to your podcasts on YouTube. So, that being said, unless you had something else you wanted to cover, we'll just get into the meat of the matter here.
Well, let's do this.
All right. High 5, low 5. I'll do my number 5 for each side, and then you can do that.
All right.
All right. So number 5 was very hard for me in the high 5 category. So what I'm kind of hoping is that maybe, just maybe, the other one that I was going to pick will be in your top 5, and we could wind up discussing it. Because I teeter-tottered back and forth between 2. They are both WCW. But I landed on this one. My 5th favorite rivalry of the 1990s is the Dangerous Alliance versus WCW.
That one wasn't on my list, but it is a very, very good one. I'll let you elaborate more because it was on yours, but go ahead.
I was just going to say the formation of the Dangerous Alliance, and to be honest with you, I think the Dangerous Alliance is a better faction than any later version of the Horsemen. Like, the original Horseman obviously is superior. And then I would say even the second Horseman, kind of with Barry Windham in.
Yeah.
But then after that, I would say the Dangerous Alliance faction and its war with the faces of WCW is better than any other iteration of the Horsemen, in my opinion.
I agree. And it was, in my opinion, an underrated, not talked about enough group. Mm-hmm. And it was...
I mean, look at the fucking talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was like it was an early on glimpse of how Heyman could just look at some people and be like, this guy's the fucking man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't tell me that Paul didn't have any, like, Jim Herd or whoever was running WCW at the time didn't put the Dangerous Alliance together.
Yeah, he wasn't like, we need
Yeah.
Bobby Eaton, Steve Austin.
Yeah, it was Paul. Like these guys are the fucking 5 best people on the fucking roster.
Yeah,
Like
and then
heel
it's just
wise, you know.
the caliber of faces that they were facing in great matchups like Sting, Dustin Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat. I mean, line them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not on my list, so I don't know if I'm cheating on this, but like Rude and Steamboat, like their feud, like bore out of their Dangerous Alliance deal or whatever. Like that's one of the fucking coolest, and like where he was like, talking about Steamboat was like a womanizer and all
Yeah.
that shit. Like it was, and they were an ass kicking group too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. Like I said, just from the very beginning with Sting being with Rude being introduced as the Halloween Phantom, and it all kind of you didn't really do work shoot angles back then, but it kind of work shoot because of Paul Lee having problems with the office at one point. So
yeah, it was obvious. Actually, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's actually a more believable NWO than the NWO was.
Yeah, that's true. Because you have this dude that was scorned by WCW,
but he's still allowed to be there because he's got a contract. Yeah, he sued his way back into the company. Yeah, but I just think it's a well done, under talked about group.
And all right. So number 5 for my high 5 was that one. Number 5 for my low 5. Just because there was no way the matches were going to be any good. And there was no way that it wasn't just completely goofy. Plus the fuzzy gimmicks, just all around. The Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez. What a stinker of a feud. It's funny because I actually look at my paper here and I have Undertaker and El Gigante, which it would have been funny if El Gigante, if he would have been a WWF in like his Space Age outfit with his bandana. Undertaker!
With his
little biker shorts.
Biker shorts. I said bikey shorts. I don't know. I said bikey shorts.
But if he had biker shorts with the fuzzy gimmicks.
Yeah.
But man, what a stinky feud.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
Poor Undertaker.
Yeah.
The fucking ether or whatever at WrestleMania. Then they have
rough.
They have a match that's billed as a rest in peace match, but really it isn't. Like it's just you can win by pinfall. Just it's like why are you calling it a rest in peace match when it's just a match?
Yeah. It's because everybody watched it, wish they were dead.
Man, yeah. But it was like
and God bless El Gigante.
Oh yeah, from everything I've ever heard, really nice guy.
Like a nice dude. Just
didn't like shit on the bit. He wasn't bad because he didn't respect the business. He was just bad because his body wasn't made to be a professional wrestler.
And he didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one thing like Jim Ross talked about him on an old Grillin' JR. Like, he said he was too nice for the wrestling business.
Mm-hmm.
And he just didn't understand it. Like when he was feuding with Flair, Ross said he had to like produce the guy's promos. He's like, Ric Flair, I kill you. He'd be like, you can't say you're gonna kill him because you're not actually gonna kill him. Okay, Ric Flair, I kill you. It's like, oh my god. Like he didn't understand it. But
and what I actually
it's Taker's worst feud.
Yeah.
Bar not like hands down. And like you said, like the ether thing was rough, and Taker needs a guy, or at that point, needed somebody that could at least bump.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because Taker didn't bump really when he
Yeah.
was that Undertaker, and even like
When he was that Undertaker,
yeah, even King Kong Bundy was a better fucking fit for it. And I'm
yeah.
not even knocking Bundy, but Bundy could at least,
Well,
you know,
honestly,
bump.
in the ring at that time, until you get to, let's say, until you get to Yoko, right?
Yeah.
So during that little stretch where they're just, yeah, just feeding him whoever or whatever, and even after Yoko, because you had Bundy and you had fucking fake Undertaker and all that, but probably of that ilk of his opponents, the best one for him was Kamala, because
Yeah.
Jim Harris knew how to sell he knew how to sell against the Undertaker, you know, character, and for his size and everything, he was a good bump taker if he needed to be.
Yeah. And Taker has even said like his face turn, Kamala did wonders for him because Kamala was like wasn't afraid to just be like and like
Yeah.
run away from him and like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
for years Kamala was the Ugandan headhunter and he wasn't afraid of anything. But like this fucking Undertaker shows up and he's like petrified of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like running away and yeah, like Taker has said that. Like he's like, I own my like not all of it. Like he still would have got over, but he was like, that was the one of the best guys for me because like Kamal is afraid of the Undertaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If I would have
And
really
he needs that. He needed that type of person.
if I would have really taken the deep dive here, I may have picked El Gigante's feud with the one man gang over this, but I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Taker and Giant Gonzalez. Just keep it the way I had it. But as we were talking about
I,
El Gigante, I was like, oh, there was that one man
oh,
gang where one man gang had wild bedhead and shit.
it's a stretcher match where nobody leaves on a stretcher,
Yeah,
and one man gang and Kevin
Kevin
Sullivan are
Sullivan.
like they look like glam rockers. It's like what's happening?
What is going on? All right, your turn.
All right. Um, I didn't necessarily do like my favorite to my least favorite or what. Like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I kind of did. But anyway, um, my high five might be you might not agree with this one, and it might be a weird one. And it's a WCW one. It is, and it's almost based off. It's not so much it's not so much a storyline, but just the series of matches and the history of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's um, Dean Malenko versus Rey Mysterio Jr.
Hmm.
Like almost the infancy of the cruiserweight division.
Yeah, I was gonna say that rivalry slash matches between Malenko and Mysterio and Mysterio and Guerrero both almost made my list. So no, I totally see where you're coming from, because it's not necessarily like a solid. Um, I mean, I know they had a feud, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not just that; it's more like a real sports type of rivalry. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't like Dean Malenko attacked him in the locker room or
right?
whatever. It was just these guys are the top cruiserweight guys in 95, 96. And
They keep encountering each other. Yeah.
they keep encountering each other. And the other thing I liked about it was that they're both cruiserweights, but they're entirely different
Yeah.
types of cruiserweights. You know, it's like this is the best. I know Dean did some high flying stuff or whatever, but he wasn't a high flying guy. You
Right.
know, he was
Mm-hmm.
a mat based guy. And then here's our best mat based scientific wrestler versus our best high flying dazzling guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those guys, they were some of the highlights, or if not the highlight of many nitros and Saturday nights and all that shit. And it was like, I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying, but I just think it was a great rivalry. I mean, I was like, when I was thinking about it, like some of these are feuds, but I'm like, I don't know. It's not the traditional quote unquote feud, but I think it is actually a good rivalry.
Right. Yeah. And with like you said, like I said, with the word rivalry doesn't necessarily mean but it was very angle heavy or anything like that. It just, again, a rivalry. They
Yeah.
were on opposite sides, competing in the same division, tearing the fucking house down every time they were in the ring.
Yep. But it's one of my favorites. So, you got anything else on that one?
No.
All right. Hopefully that wasn't audible because I just busted ass. Um, so low 5 will be um same type of year, or same type of year, same era or whatever you want to call it, but it's over on the WWF, and it's like the complete. I didn't even realize it when I wrote it down, but it's like the complete opposite. And guess what it is? It is Diesel versus King Mabel.
You know what?
Are they on your list?
Number 4, Diesel versus King Mabel.
Oh
So
my fucking god.
yeah, oof, buddy.
It's kind of like what I said about Taker and Gonzalez. You can't put a guy like King Mabel in there with Kevin fucking Nash.
Yeah, it was
Ew.
really bad. Really, really. And like I don't know, the whole King Mabel, like I actually didn't mind Men on a Mission as a tag team for what they were.
Yeah.
They were fine. Um and I didn't mind Mabel as Viscera when he was part, he served a purpose in the the Attitude Era and the Ministry and shit or whatever, but the idea of our companies in the shitter, and our solution is to make this big fat fuck our top heel.
I don't even mind King Mabel.
I do.
I
I
still
don't
want
like that King
I don't
Mabel
want
shit.
King Mabel in the fucking main event.
Right.
You know what I mean? If King Mabel's just some crazy king character, whatever. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That doesn't harm me none. But if
Hear
he's fucking
ye,
main eventing with Diesel, hear ye, servants and wenches.
Oh yeah, Diesel and Mabel at SummerSlam is one of the worst WWF pay-per-view main events ever. Um and I don't know that
Yeah.
Nash was very uninspired in any promo because he didn't want to be doing it anyway. Mabel was uninspired in promos because he was doing his ridiculous king shtick, and then the big blow off for their feud is like a 6-second match on the Raw Bowl Raw, and then Mabel's gone.
Yeah, it was bad all the way
Very,
around.
very
Diesel
stinky.
needed, yeah, Diesel needed a guy like Sean or Brett or, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Taker.
Taker, somebody that could work around him and bump off of him or whatever. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it was that's bad WWF, and it's not even like good bad WWF. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Like Hillbilly Jim teaming with Outback Jack is bad WWF, but it's still good bad WWF. I don't know
Yeah.
if good bad makes sense, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
eh.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
Diesel May was like, Jesus Christ. No wonder Eric was able to beat you. I know it wasn't right then, but it's like,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
no,
Nitro fucking launched like 2 weeks after that SummerSlam. So
Yeah, but I don't think he was like they weren't like slamming him, but it was like a little bit after that, but that was like kind of like the catalyst of it. Like, that's what you got.
this is yeah. So I will, since you had your number 4, we had the same number 4.
Well, that
Here,
was
I'll
your number 4. That was my number 5.
your number 5. I'm sorry. Yes.
Who's keeping track?
There's 2 of us. Apparently, one of us is. It's you. So I'll do just quickly when I get to it. I'll just do one of my honorable mentions as my number 4.
That's fine.
But number 4, my number 4 high five for 90s rivalries is, to me, one of the integral WWF rivalries / feuds of the 1990s. Because it plays out in the ring, it plays out all over the show for at least, let me see, 3 to 4 years off and on. It's Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler.
Oh, that was my number 2.
Oh, all right. Well, Bret Hart and Jerry, we agree.
So remind me when we get to my number 2, I'll put my honorable mention in there then too.
Okay. But yeah, Bret and Lawler is like from 93 to 97 is integral, because even we've mentioned it before on the show and on the other show with Dutch Mantel talking about Smoky Mountain, and it's ever present because Lawler's on commentary. So
yeah,
even when he's not feuding with Bret, he's shitting on Bret on commentary. And then that was what cinched that Bret was a heel in 97, was Lawler actually started liking Bret Hart. You know,
he's like,
yeah, he's got a point, McMahon. Look at him. He's making up with his brother. You kept him apart.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I used to hate that guy, but he's all right, I think.
But yeah, from the very beginning, when Lawler attacks Bret at the King of the Ring 93, through so many ups and downs, like Bret's having a match with Bam Bam Bigelow on Monday Night Raw in Manhattan Center, and Lawler's jaw jacking his parents up in the balcony. Hey Stu, why don't you put your dentures in backwards and eat yourself to death? And then again, then he's on commentary shitting on him, and then they started up again in 95, and Lawler's calling Bret a fucking racist and shit, and he's racist against Japanese people, and I mean, just
like the Japanese, and like he said, like the first match that Stu and Helen booked was David versus Goliath, shit like that, and it was such a great fucking feud, and it was 2 guys that were perfect in their roles, and in my opinion, 2 of the fucking best to ever do it. And Lawler knew how to get heat and wasn't afraid to say shit, and Bret, like, I don't know.
And in the whole thing, it's crazy because in the whole thing, they feud for like 4 years, right? Lawler's on commentary. Lawler's throwing his dentist at Bret Hart. SummerSlam 93, it's Doink. He gets Doink. Doink wrestles Bret. Survivor Series 94, we don't know exactly what was supposed to happen there because Mr. Lawler was in a little bit of trouble. Or 93, I mean, Survivor Series. But anyway, they have this big, long rivalry, and it's kind of like fucking giant haystacks and Big Daddy. They have this big, long rivalry, and I think they actually only wrestled each other like 3 times, like in actual one-on-one matches.
Yeah, it's a fucking great feud, and I don't know why, but like Bret doesn't, like, in Bret's book, which is one of my favorite wrestling books of all time, he doesn't really talk too much about it, and personally didn't really like it.
Yeah.
Or really like Lawler very much. And it's just like, I don't get that part of it. But I like the feud is just so fucking good.
Yeah.
And I think what made it stand out was that it was um a real feud in a cartoon world,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't anything cartoonish about Bret Hart versus Jerry Lawler.
Except, yeah. I mean, not really.
I mean, yeah, I know there was like Doink and the dentist and all that, but Bret and Lawler was a
Yeah.
deep, like a
Deep heat.
deep heated feud.
So yeah, we definitely agree on that one. So honorable mention for my low 5, number 4. I'll put in the Mountie and Sergeant Slaughter with Mountie's gigantic shock stick. What the fuck?
Yeah,
I don't
it didn't last very long.
I don't really have much to say about it. It's just stupid. It didn't last very long because Slaughter retired from in-ring competition. But
yeah, the problem with it, other than his gigantic shock stick, was the fact that after you had Slaughter do what he did, how could you go back? You can't put the monkey back in the box.
yeah, I want my country back.
Yeah.
Nobody bought it.
Yeah. I mean, I know years later he came back and it was nostalgic Slaughter and all that.
Yeah.
But like at that point, it's like, how can you really turn this guy face again?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They kind of
fucked him over.
a little bit.
But yeah, I just since I had the opportunity to bring it up, I just thought I'd bring up Mountie in the giant shock stick on Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, it was bad.
So what is your number 4?
My 4s are High Five, Undertaker, and Mankind.
I'm glad you brought that one up because I did not. It would have been, it definitely top 10, but if I went with 5, there was one that I wanted to choose over that. So I'm glad you brought it up because holy crap.
This is going to sound crazy when I say it, and I'm not trying to besmirch the guy in any way, but we were kind of talking about like Taker is given like these clunkers for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you don't realize it. You didn't realize it watching it at the moment, but if you look at it, you're
moment,
like like his character was kind of, I don't know, just it was the like Mick showing up there and then putting him with Taker, I think revitalized the Undertaker gimmick and character.
Oh, it
And made
did.
him interesting again.
It definitely did because number one, the funny and you probably know this, but maybe some of our listeners don't. The original idea for the Undertaker was only supposed to last a year.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be built up as a monster opponent for Hogan, and then just like every other monster opponent for Hogan, once he loses to Hogan, it's back down the card. But Vince saw something in Mark Calloway, started feeding him all those clunky heels or whatever. But I totally see what you're saying because when you watch things chronologically, like you said, you didn't realize that they were hooking Undertaker up with clunkies, but
Yeah.
That's why in 96, when he started feuding with Mankind, it was one of those things where Jim Ross could say on TV, this is not like nothing we've ever seen before in the WWF, because it wasn't. You'd never seen Undertaker have matches like that. Mick, not forced, but helped Undertaker up his game. Because you're right. I don't think if there's not the Mick Foley feud, I don't know how much longer Undertaker lasts because he's not really evolving his style or anything until he starts working with Mick.
Yeah, it's like the thing that forced it to move on, you know? And like I was saying, like he was the guy that came along after all these fucking plotting, fucking Mabels and commas, and I'm not knocking comma, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like all these fucking guys,
Mabels and commas and Bundys. Oh
Bundies and
my.
Bundies, oh my. Yeah. And then here comes a guy that can, what I was just saying, bump like a motherfucker
Mm-hmm.
and was big enough still, but not a Bundy or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that could still look believable with him. You know, it's
And
like,
the other thing that the Mankind feud did for Undertaker was move along, well, not from, but make the switch with Paul Bearer
yeah,
to make everything else happen as far as rolling on with Kane and all that stuff. So and
it made him vulnerable.
I've been watching. Speaking of which, I've been watching '98, and one of the most fun things about 1998 is watching Bill Moody get to be Percy Pringle in the WWF, because
Yeah,
that version of Paul Bearer is not Paul Bearer. That version of Paul Bearer is Percy Pringle. You
yeah.
know, if I
I
do
thought you were
stuff,
just
your
gonna.
mama taught me how.
I thought you were just gonna say his interactions with China, like his character in China, and China's
I
characters didn't get. They were in the same group, but they just
I
not
actually
get. They did not get along.
I actually just got done watching the Raw where they accidentally, quote unquote, have Lawler and Paul Bearer talking about, Kane's mama's legs. One foot was in Los Angeles and the other one was in New York.
Yeah,
And it's supposed to be that they accidentally got on tape. And then they come back from commercial and Lawler's like,
and Lawler's like, "Oh my god."
no, Lawler's like, I've been told that my conversation, like he's so insincere about it, like, in the back of his mind he's like, it's really funny that made the air, but he's like, I've been told that my conversation with Paul Bearer just recently accidentally
Yeah,
made the air and I want to apologize.
yeah. But the coolest thing of that whole like 1 day gimmick or 1 day feud is like Lawler does it. I found out my commentary was, or what, like you know what I mean, like it was
Yeah.
accidentally televised or whatever, and they leave it, and then like 30 minutes later, like Lawler's just being like, "Oh, this happened with the fucking too much or whatever." And he's talking, and fucking Undertaker pops up out of nowhere, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!"
But anyway, we got off of your Holy Undertaker
That's nice.
feud, but yes,
Yeah.
absolutely one of the best of the 90s.
All right, and then my low five number four is one of the worst of the '90s, and it's from WCW, and it is Diamond Dallas Page and Dave Sullivan.
Oof.
Jesus Christ. It's such a bad fucking feud. It's terrible.
It's so bad. I don't even remember a lot about it. Wasn't there a rabbit?
Yeah, Dave Sullivan had a rabbit, and fucking DDP killed it, and Dave was like infatuated with like Kimberly Page, and it was just god awful. And then you're like, hey, here's a good idea. Let's have these guys have matches. It's like, Jesus Christ, it's so fucking bad.
Was Max Muscle with DDP at that point too?
He was,
Phew.
and I know he's a great guy, and
Mhm.
I understand that, and people love him as a person and everything, but DDP could be on a lot of my lists as my low five, but this is just bad. It's just, I, it's like I don't know, just horrible fucking. It's not even like, oh, it's so bad it's good. It's like this is just trash.
This is just awful. Yeah.
Yeah,
If this is on a tape or something I'm watching or a video, I'm gonna fast forward through any of this. I don't
Yes.
ever want to relive it unless I have to do it for a podcast.
Just horrible garbage.
Number 3 on my high 5 for me. I don't know how I want to describe it or how I want to put it, but it is Cactus Jack versus, say, the fans of ECW or hardcore fans or hardcore wrestling or whatever you want to call it. But that whole thing, to me, the Cactus Jack ECW anti-hardcore stuff is possibly the best shit they ever did in ECW for my money. I love it.
Yeah, if it's not the best shit they did, it's in the top 2 or 3. It was the first, I shouldn't say first, but um it was like Mick showing how smart he was or is. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I
Yeah.
know Paulie probably had something to do with it too, but Paulie could give it. Paulie, like a booker or a writer or whatever, can give anybody anything, but once you give it to them, it's the talent that makes it work. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and it showed how smart Mick Foley is, in my opinion.
Absolutely. He showed savvy to know where to go with his character to get the most attention, to get the most heat.
Like my one of my favorite things of the whole thing is and I don't think we ever saw it when we were doing Reliving the Extreme, but it's on this cassette tape that I have of Cactus Jack and ECW or whatever. And he's on like an amusement ride with his kids, and it's like one of the slowest moving amusement rides because it's like built for children,
Mhm.
but it's like this like little tilt-a-whirl thing, and every time he goes by, he's like, "This is extreme. This is extreme." It's good shit. Yeah. It, yeah, it's just like it was like I'm gonna totally go against what everybody wants me to be.
I I can, just to put in perspective how much I love this shit. There is lots of wrestling that I have watched over and over and over again in my life. Um, I know there's some people out there that are probably like, I don't know. Well, to be honest with you, folks, I watch some professional wrestling every day of my life. Something I watch something professional wrestling every day of my life. So there's a lot of stuff where I feel like, this part of this episode of this show or this pay per view or whatever, I can fast forward it. I've seen it so many times, I don't need to watch it again. Those fucking Mick Foley anti-hardcore promos are still as riveting to me as they were 30 years ago. Like every time I'm watching those, I am glued to my screen. This is so fucking good. It is so
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Um yeah, I mean, that's why I said it's just to me, like I said, I don't know what people call it. I don't know if they call it I don't even know if you call it a rivalry because he's kind of rivalrying with everybody. But just Mick Foley against hardcore is just such good shit.
Yep.
The next one on my low 5 isn't necessarily, it's not because they're poor workers. It's not because they had necessarily bad matches. It's just this one is on here because, and Aaron will know once I say it, this one's on here just because it's that feud in the 90's that I just don't dig at all, can never get into it. It is Triple H and Goldust.
I almost put it on there. It's the lamb chop of wrestling. I have a lamb chop of wrestling too. And when I say that, it's like this is the feud that'll never end. It goes on and on, my friend. But no,
And again, they never
Hunter,
their matches, the matches are
Hunter and
fine.
like Dustin's one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, in my opinion. And I know people shit on Hunter or whatever, but I'm not saying he's one of the greatest of all time in in the ring bell to bell, but he's one of the better workers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this
People
feud,
that shit on Hunter are just shitting on Hunter for internet credit. Hunter was a fine professional wrestler. And he was not the main event because he was married to Stephanie McMahon. He was the main event because at the time he was the best heel in that company for a time.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and of the Dustin Rhodes Gold Dust run, like him still being Gold Dust, but being a man's man or whatever, I thought was boring.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think, and I know they would have not done it because Gold Dust was a WWF creation or whatever. I think it would have been better, honestly, if at that time it was just Triple H or Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Dustin Rhodes.
Dustin Rhodes, yeah.
Like if you're gonna make him a man and say I'm not gay, okay, well just be Dustin Rhodes then.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's part. Like Dustin was like Gold Dust was very boring between the I'm not gay, I'm gonna feud with Hunter, and then like the preacher guy feud with Val Venus. Like, he's pretty boring.
Yeah. Yeah. But babyface Gold Dust in the 90's didn't work. It was fine. He was great as a heel. He was great as the homoerotic heel. He was great as the weird ass heel with Luna. But now he worked as a babyface once he came back and did the shit with Booker,
which is fantastic.
Yes, but the 90's Attitude Era babyface.
That's what I'm saying. Like that Gold Dust was very boring.
Yes, I agree.
Because he was just Dustin Rhodes as Gold Dust. It's like just either make him Gold Dust or make him Dustin Rhodes. In my opinion.
But yeah, that's my number 3. And again, that one is not one where necessarily I'm even shitting on the work or anything. It's just the one that I personally am like, I wish this would stop happening.
Yes.
All
totally
right.
agree.
You're number 3.
My high five number 3 is Ric Flair and Sting. And I know I've always been and Nate can say this, when we were kids, I was more of a WCW guy, and Nate was more of a WWF guy. But so to me, it's like when you talk about WCW and you talk about Crockett going out of business or almost going out of business and Turner buying it, I mean, is there more 90's WCW
than Sting and
than
Flair?
These two fucking guys?
Right.
Absolutely not. If they had nothing else,
when I think of my first thought, if I think of being a young man or a teenager or whatever, and I think of watching shit on at either 605 or 805 on the Superstation on TBS, the first thing I think of is Sting versus Ric Flair. No matter if they're even wrestling on that show, it's just Sting and Ric Flair are the first two that come to mind when you think about the Superstation in the 90's on TBS as a kid.
Yeah. And if they had nothing else, well, we can always go back to Sting and Flair.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It was always the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I never saw him have a bad match. Even the last one isn't terrible.
Every time.
And
this is stupid. I mean, it might not be stupid, but it's just, again, it's a mental thing about that rivalry. You have a collection like I do. My office room here at the house is just full of my shit, my collectibles, my wrestling, my Star Wars, whatever. And I don't know, do you periodically get bored with it and rearrange it?
Sometimes.
I probably wind up rearranging mine 2 to 3 times a year. Just, I'm watching wrestling on TV and rearranging my shit. But the little Galoob WCW figures that were like the Hasbro figures, but not?
Yeah.
The Sting figure and the Ric Flair figure always wind up right next to each other. no matter how much I rearrange the shit, those two figures always wind up right next to each other. Just like the Hulk Hogan and the Mean Gene Okerlund always wind up next to each other. But anyway.
But to me, like that was like when you think of WCW, it's Ric Flair and Sting.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they never had a bad match. Maybe sometimes the storyline wasn't the greatest, but it was always there and they always worked well together. And like one of my favorite parts of it is when Sting and him are gonna team up and he's like against Flair or against Arn and Pillman. He's like, if you turn on me, man, I'm gonna kill you.
Because
he's like, I will put you fucking down. Like his character was like 60-40, like you're gonna fuck me. But I've already said I'm gonna go into this thing.
Flair's like, you're gonna trust me.
And yeah, it's
totally
part of my childhood. It's part of my childhood of the 90s. That's why I put it on there. And then so all right. And it's kind of funny that you brought up Triple H and Goldust because my number 3 will be no surprise to you. And it's from WCW as well. And it is Jeff Jarrett versus Steve McMichael.
I have in my notes, Aaron better pick Jeff Jarrett and Steve McMichael.
Jesus fucking Christ. It was almost number 1. It might be the most god awful series of fucking matches I've ever seen in my life, or stories I've ever seen. Right?
It just goes on, like you said. It just goes on forever. It goes on forever.
It's so fucking bad.
I swear, Jeff Jarrett's entire run in WCW at that time is he's a horseman, but he's not a horseman, and then he feuds with Steve McMichael. That's it.
And it never evolves. Like nothing ever is different. You know what I mean? Like it might be. I should have maybe made it number 1. It might be the worst wrestling feud of all time. It is so fucking bad. And like you said, Jarrett or Triple H and Goldust, at least their matches weren't even good.
Right.
Like it was garbage. Fucking hate it.
Yeah, you're right. They cut a promo on each other every week. Deborah talks some shit. There's somehow the metal briefcase is involved. And then Steve McMichael's yelling at Deborah. And then we do it all again.
It's so fucking bad.
Shit. It really is. Like you that one was one to me that happened in the background. Like I didn't even really pay that much attention to it every time I was watching through WCW Nitro and shit. But then once you started pointing it out to me, I start noticing it. I'm like, fuck, this really is very bad.
Even kid, I'm like, this is fucking trash.
All right, on to my high five number 2. My number 2 and my number 1 favorite rivalries are actually my number 2 and my number 1 for the decade.
I feel like one of them is obviously going to be both of ours.
Possibly. So, I'm sure it will.
Yes.
But my number 2 is a rivalry from the 90s that is short, but fucking excellent. Some of the best WWF, my favorite WWF television of all time, and it is Randy Savage and Jake Roberts.
Yes.
I love the
And
Randy Savage, Jake Roberts, late 1991, early 1992 feud.
yeah, that wasn't on my list. It almost made my list. I'm not gonna lie. And it's almost like, and when I say it, you could say, hey, you could paint it either way. Because you could say it kind of was or it wasn't. But it was kind of like um what I said about Brett and Lawler, where it was non-cartoon in a cartoon world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know, like Jake going to the wedding and the snake being in the box, like that was kind of cartoonish, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the meat and potatoes of it, it was
Oh,
not a cartoon angle.
there was WWF rarely did anything that psychologically intense, that violent.
He smacked Elizabeth.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
there was
it
like
was
there.
some,
It was actually a WWF feud where they had to bleep out some curse words.
yeah. And like I said, it was like a psychological dark feud, and the snake thing was insane. You know, and it's
And then
like,
you got two guys that the promos, you know, Savage with the intensity and Jake with the fucking deviousness and just the few the promos are perfect. The match there's only like one or two matches, but the matches are perfect. The story is perfect. Elizabeth is perfect in her role. That was like the feud Elizabeth was born to fucking be part of.
yeah, yeah. It was 91, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, why did it take them? Because they show up at roughly the same time?
Yeah, Savage just about. Savage comes in middle 85 ish, and Jake comes in right before WrestleMania 2 in 86. So within 6 months of each other.
Yeah. It's like, why did it take them till 91 to, like, these guys should work? You know what I mean? Like, does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Because they didn't, as far as I remember, they didn't have really any fucking interaction before then.
I don't believe so. I don't even think that they had any like Saturday, like one-off Saturday night's main event matches or anything.
That's what I'm saying. But I mean, I'm glad they did because the fucking feud was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it was really short lived because Jake left pretty quick after, and they just
Yeah.
transitioned from Savage and uh, Jake into, and it fucking talking about like feuds coming out of Brett and Lawler. It's like that fucking feud turned the Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like even his character was like, "Oh, Jake, this is a bit much."
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Jake. Yeah.
And Jake was getting ready to hit a Liz with the
Yeah.
chair,
Whoever
and
comes through the
Undertaker
curtain
intervened.
first is going to eat the chair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they didn't do shit like that very much, just showing you like behind the curtain type stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a great fucking feud and a great fucking angle.
Um.
And
Oh.
not being able to see it, obviously, because we're not professional wrestlers or behind the scenes people. It's like, oh my god, imagine what that shit was like though with those two fucking psychos.
um. See, that's my number two high five. My number two low five. I just talked about a few where the WWF did everything right. Everybody was perfectly cast. The story was perfect. No flaws. I could find no flaws in it. The next one is a WWF feud where the people were miscast. Any payoff in the whole thing was misdone. I'll get into it. It's possibly my least favorite, like top of the card WWF feud, even though I said Triple H Gold Dust, but just for all the mistakes and what a big blunder it was. Number 2 for me, Tatanka and Lex Luger.
Yeah.
They were miscast. Luger should have been the heel. Tatanka never should have been the heel. He was a terrible heel. Luger
Like
is a
that.
natural heel and should have been the heel.
Yeah.
They chose for Luger to be the face, and he never ever got one over on Tatanka or the corporation. He always lost or got fucked over. He never gained any momentum against them. It just all turned out to be just a fucking blunder. It was terrible.
Yeah, like the build up to it was good. Like, oh, I found this card. Like, I found the $1 Million Man's card in your bag, and
Mm-hmm.
like Ted was coming out there and watching all of it and everything. It would have been so much better if Luger would have just turned him and like, this guy was right the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just took the money.
Yes. And
Yeah.
imagine
It's like when in AWA when Zabisco helped Hennig and they were like, "Why'd you do it?" And he's like, "Cause he fucking paid me."
because he paid
Like,
me
I know
because
he
of
didn't
the
say
money.
fucking,
Yeah.
but he said, I did it for the money. And what better guy? And when we were talking about it, like, I don't know why it just popped into my head, but what better guy than somebody that looks like Lex Luger for Ted DiBiase to like strap the $1 Million title on?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I
this is
mean,
the $1 Million champion.
if you really think back on it, everybody talks about in hindsight, everybody talks about how Luger never lived up to his expectations in the WWF, and I have always contended that he could have if they would have turned him heel. I think if Vince would have turned him heel in '94, his WWF run would have been so much different. He might have not even wanted to leave at summer of '95.
The like people say, oh, Luger didn't live up to his expectations. It was an instance of the WWF not living up to their expectations.
Yes, yes.
Like
But yeah,
um, sorry, there's like a couple superstars episodes that I watched right before he left that he had a couple, and it was like in the foreground or in the background or whatever, and they didn't really talk about it, where he had like a couple instances where he kind of did some shit and him and Nash got into it a little bit. And I think they were contemplating doing it and he quit. But even then, I think it was too late.
yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. By then, like I don't know, to turn heel and mean something, he needed to turn heel when he meant something.
Yeah.
and the perfect time to do it would have been at SummerSlam 1994 and have him join DiBiase. And like you said, there's a potential $1 Million champion, and I don't think if that's the case, then by WrestleMania 11, he's not in the opening tag team match against the fucking Harris twins.
Yeah. He could have been like, I put on the red, white, and blue. I fucking rode a bus around. I placated you people. I kissed your babies. And you still fucking boo me?
Yeah, he could have been the Brett
I'll
heel
take a.
turn before the Brett heel turn.
Yeah. You know what I love more than my country? Money.
Money, and you fans can stick it.
Hey,
I don't know.
stick it
I
up
don't
your
know
ass.
why. I don't know why I like that. You fans can stick.
And
It's one of
stick
my
it. And
people can
stick it up your
stick
ass.
it.
Stick it.
That must have been like, sometimes like Vince McMahon gets a word or something a hair up his ass about something, so then everybody's got to use it like medical facility, or that must have been like somebody in WCW in the back locker room must have said stick it or something, because then
Stick
Hogan
it.
said stick it, Sting said stick it, Bischoff
Even
said stick
Shivani said. Even Shivani said stick it.
it. Hogan, you could stick it.
Yeah.
But yes, that's Tatanka Luger is my number 2, low 5.
All right. Well, you took Brett and Lawler from me, and that was my number 2. So I'm gonna go with my alternate, if that's okay.
Yep.
And it still involves Brett, and it's Brett and Owen.
the Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, to me, is the only time brother versus brother has ever worked. I didn't like. I don't think the Steiner brothers against each other ever worked. I don't think Harlem Heat against each other ever worked. I'm trying to think if there's any others that would stick out to me, but Brett and Owen worked. They just, it was perfect. Owen, and it was I'm stealing your spotlight here. It was your choice.
That's fine.
Owen's the perfect little snot-nosed punk brother.
Yep.
And it just, and they did just enough of Brett saying, I'm not going to fight my brother, to where they did it perfectly, to where you can see where he finally got pushed over the edge. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg.
And the other thing that was great about it, and it's one thing I like about like a good rivalry, is that at points it went away. You know what I mean? Like Owen turned in 93.
Survivor Series 93, yes.
And then they got back together in 97. So for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it wasn't 4 years of Owen versus Brett.
No.
But every once in a while,
mm-hmm.
some shit would happen and they'd have like, you know, a match or a little feud or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like it would simmer and then it would boil over. Then it would simmer and then it'd boil over. And it was, I don't know. I just think it was a masterclass of how you book a wrestling rivalry and feud.
And
in my opinion.
And it also resulted in the best big blue cage match.
But yeah.
I like Hogan and Boss Man for the spectacle. But Brett and Owen were the two guys that made the best match out of that big blue cage. Like an actual, like, we're going to have a wrestling match and a cage match in this big blue monstrosity.
Yeah.
Wasn't that originally the Calgary cage anyway? Isn't that where it came from?
I don't think so. What I've heard
it was.
What I heard was the big blue cage came because WWF had the mesh for the longest time, you know. But when they wanted to have cage matches and shit, it's like Hogan's 310 pounds, 320 pounds, you know. Fucking Boss Man's this guy's that. Like that blue cage was invented because those guys couldn't.
Yeah, because I think
a cage like that.
I think the first time they used it was Bundy and Hogan.
Yeah, like how are Bundy and Hogan supposed to fucking
do the war games
climb the mesh cage? Yeah. How are they supposed to do that? And everybody else that I've ever heard talked about when it went away, they were so fucking happy because that fucking thing hurt like a motherfucker.
But yes, I'll agree with you,
Like I said, like I said, it was a feud that like spurned a lot of shit out of everything. The craziest thing about it is, I don't know why I just thought about it. You know what the craziest thing about that whole fucking angle is?
What's that?
That Brett and Jim Neidhart never had a one-on-one match on WWF television.
Nope, they did not.
There was never a Brett Neidhart match. It's just crazy to me. Anyway, Brett and Owen, since he scooped You scooped my heat.
Scoop the heat. I'm sorry, I'm
which
a lousy
Brett,
stinking hyena.
which Brett is our generation's Ole Anderson now, by the way.
I'm all right with that. It's funny,
Yeah.
just like Ole.
It's funny, and he's fucking hates everybody. Um,
That don't matter to me. I'm still a Brett guy. Fuck him.
I'll always be an Ole guy too, but that guy, yeah,
I will.
Brett's the new Ole.
I
Now that
will always.
Ole's dead,
I will always be. I will always be a Brett guy, and I'll always be a Randy Savage guy. Those are my guys.
but just interview wise and just whatever. Brett's the new fucking Ole Anderson now that Ole's dead.
And I think that Brett also knows that because I think sometimes he just does it on purpose.
Did you watch that Hulk Hogan documentary?
I
on
did.
Netflix? Yeah, where like they showed that shit of Hogan saying this, that, and the other thing, and Brush was like, "Fuck him," or "Fuck you."
Fuck him.
He's like, "Fuck you." So we have Brett and Owen, and then now we're gonna go my low two.
Yep.
Mentioning Hulk Hogan, and talking about how I was a WCW kid when we were little. It's the feud that, in my opinion, was when WCW became not the WCW that was my WCW, if that makes sense. And it is Hulk Hogan versus the Three Faces of Fear: Avalanche, Kevin Sullivan, and the Butcher.
Well, my number one low five is Hulk Hogan and the Butcher. So, yeah, that was my number one. So.
Kind of the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because the later on one that everybody talks about all the time with the Dungeon of Doom, the cartoony, there's no Hulkamaniacs here. At least that's like buffoonery and kind of comedic. Even though Hogan was taking it seriously. But you look back on it now and it's buffoonery and it's comedic, at least to laugh at.
Yeah,
but the Hogan Butcher shit is lame as fuck. Especially as a main event for Starrcade. Jesus.
Yeah, but just that whole thing, like, there's
nothing good about it.
It's so fucking bad.
Hogan's bad. Butcher's bad. Hey, Dave Sullivan's involved in it.
Dude, everything surrounding it is just
a Mr. T. Awful. A Mr. T who hadn't been a relevant celebrity for a decade.
Yeah. Like when we're talking about
his Rip Van Winkle hat.
Yeah, like we're talking about feuds that spark things.
Yeah.
You know, like that feud did it in WCW, but it sparked bad things.
Yeah.
Like this thing gave us Mr. T versus Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah.
Or Dave Sullivan versus Kevin Sullivan. Just that feud and that era of WCW
hails from the Conch Republic.
That era of WCW, like that Hogan shows up and right before, or even maybe like 2 months into Nitro, is one of the worst professional wrestling, like mainstream professional wrestling television shows ever, in my opinion.
I agree.
It is so fucking bad.
Very bad.
Like Renegade and
Flair being totally shit upon for like 6-7 months.
It is so fucking bad.
Hulk Hogan popping up from the Vader bomb. There's so much. You're right. There's so much bad. And like Hogan and Butcher is just the head of the zit. You know what I mean?
It's the fucking rotten cherry on top of the fucking rotten sundae.
Yeah. As Vince would say, that's bad shit, pal.
Bad shit, pal.
But yeah, that was my number one. So let's say I think we both have the same number one favorite rivalry. So what is your number one low five?
Number one low five
Yeah.
is it's a WWF feud,
Mm-hmm.
which might surprise everybody, but it is. And it is gang warfare, the nation of the nation, the Bariquas,
Oof.
and the DOA.
That is some rough stuff. That's
I
another
didn't enjoy any of it.
By the way, that's another one of those feuds that would never end was Ahmed Johnson and Farouk.
Yeah.
Like but anyway, yes, the DOA, Bariquas, and Nations shit. Number one, the Nation of Domination was a fine faction. Number two, I really like Savio Vega. Number three,
I like
no, listen,
a lot of the guys involved in it.
No, listen, I like the Nation guys. I like Savio Vega, and I do not like any of the DOA. The whole thing itself, though, is boring as fuck. The most exciting thing about it is hot as a jalapeno pepper, you're fired. Like the beginning of it.
Okay, well let me say this. When you say you don't like any of the DOA, you just mean the gimmick?
No.
Because I like Brian Adams.
Okay, all right. I take it back. Because I was just thinking of Brian Lee and the Harris brothers. I didn't think about Brian Adams. Yes, I like Crush, but I don't like Crush in that gimmick.
Okay, because I was like, I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna let you.
You're not gonna let me besmirch the good
great
goddamn
name. The name of Brian Adams.
I was just thinking of the other three. I didn't forget about him, but I wasn't thinking about him being around at that time for some reason. But yeah, no. But in that angle and that gimmick, he's lumped in just like Savio or Farouk or whoever in something that's it's just bad.
It's so fucking boring. It's like, and that's the thing. It's like most of the people involved in it are good. You know, Savio's good, Ron's good, Brian Adams is good.
The Rock, D-Lo.
Yeah, it's just the fucking. Oh my god, it's so fucking boring. Just don't like it.
All right, so let's see here. I think we both have the same number one.
Do you want me to say it or do you want to say it?
You say it.
Austin McMahon.
Oh, we don't have the same number one.
What?
Nope.
How does he not pick Austin McMahon?
Because my favorite rivalry of the 90s is Austin and Brett.
Oh, that's a great one too. I was just thinking of like
I really did think you were. That's funny. We both thought we had the same thing and we didn't. Nope. For me, it's Austin and Brett.
I was just thinking of like the 90s of what encompassed and developed and built the entire business back up. It's Austin McMahon.
You're not wrong, but it's not in my five favorite. It's great shit. But Brett and Austin is Brett and Austin. It's my favorite rivalry of the 90s, and it's a front runner for my favorite rivalry ever. Like
it's in mine too. Don't get me wrong, but I was just thinking of like what catapulted the business back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm almost more excited to talk about yours than I am mine. But like when we talked about like feuds that spurned different things or whatever, what feud built more different angles than fucking Austin McMahon.
None. None. They it's the foundation for the WWF for 5 years, you know.
Yeah, and I
It's
before
so
we
much
start
fun.
talking about and before we start talking about yours, mine wouldn't have happened if yours didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like Brett. I could be wrong when I say that, but I'm just thinking of like
Well,
when I say that
Austin feuding with Brett let Austin become
made
Stone
Austin.
Cold. Yes, it let him become that character. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve wouldn't have had the career that he had if he wouldn't have had Bret Hart.
Hmm.
And um,
And to his credit, he never doesn't say that.
oh no, and I don't want to say gloss over it, but like talking about Vince and Steve, like Vince and Steve is the thing that, um, like I said, like
And
I'm trying to think of the way I want to say it. Like in the '90s, okay,
Mhm.
I was in like junior high, high school, okay, and I was a wrestling fan, obviously, and there was this nucleus of kids that liked professional wrestling, okay,
Mhm.
and we were made fun of because we liked professional wrestling. But that little core group of friends that I had, guess what we were always talking about? Oh, did you see Steve Austin take over the ambulance and kick the shit out of Brett?
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about that shit.
Which, by the way, is the best episode of Monday Night Raw ever. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's
And
that's my
then
that's my favorite Raw episode of all time.
that little nucleus of kids or friends that I had, we got redeemed because a year and a half later, everybody was like, "Did you see what Steve Austin did to Vince McMahon last week?" Oh, Stone Cold said. You know, it's like, fuck you. We've been talking about this shit we've been talking about this shit since sixth grade.
Yeah.
And now you want to you know what I mean? Like the 1996 to like 1999 is, in my opinion, um, I told you so era of wrestling. It's, I told you so. I told you the shit was cool. You fucking bandwagon jumpers. But anyway, sorry.
That's all right. Vincent Austin, like to me, you from when Kevin Kelly asks Vince McMahon right before WrestleMania 14, do you want Stone Cold Steve Austin to be the WWF champion? And Vince hims and haws, and then Kevin Kelly says, Mr. McMahon, answer the question. Do you want Stone Cold Steve Austin to be the WWF champion at
Oh hell
WrestleMania?
no!
And Vince says, oh, hell no. From that moment until probably the cage match at St. Valentine's Day Massacre, after that, I don't know, you might disagree with me, but after that, Austin McMahon, although there's still moments and it's fun, kind of jumps the shark. But
And so you started adding other people to it.
yeah, but
Yeah,
yes, it is.
like
It is definitely, and I'm not diminishing it by not having me in my top five. Obviously, like you said, it's like the foundational thing for the WWF Attitude Era. Obviously, um, but yeah, just for my money, it's the Bret Austin thing because, like you said, I mean, you mentioned that
I,
specific Raw, but
oh,
oh, go ahead.
sorry. I love when one of my favorite moments is when he's gonna award Steve with the new WWF championship. And Steve's like mocking him, is like, I bet you were walking around your house with your little belt with the little belt on.
Showing your wife.
You know, look at me, honey. I'm the WWF champion. Like It's such good shit.
The stunner arm. The stunner arm.
The stunner arm, my man. The stunner arm. Such good shit.
Uh, um.
Vince is like the fucking greatest heel of all time.
So
Anyway,
we'll end this show apparently with my number one, Steve Austin and Bret Hart. Here we go. I'm just gonna go with it. Steve Austin obviously showing his chutzpah in 1996, becoming Stone Cold. He starts razzmatazzing about Bret while Bret's gone on his little hiatus. If you put the letter S in front of Hitman, you have my exact thoughts on Bret the Hitman. I can quote that fucking feud from beginning to end because there's nothing, there's no flaws. Like it's just
no, there isn't.
you know you work through all of Bret kind of becoming bitter because he's getting screwed, and then you hee haw out here like a jackass, and
Yeah, like
fucking man, all you ever do is cry, and oh my god, it's so fucking good.
you put this shit back together better than I do. The WWF stuff or whatever. You put the S in front of Hitman, you get what I think of him and all that. Was that before or after Brett comes in and says that he's like come back because he wants to fight the best wrestler, in my opinion, in the business right now, Stone Cold Steve Austin?
No, yes, it is before that because that is at the In Your House in I think September. Bret doesn't come back till October. At the In Your House in September, it's when Steve Austin is doing an interview with Brian Pillman and Owen Hart talking about Bret.
Yeah, so Steve, like Brett's character came back or was gonna come back and was like putting him over, and Steve Austin was so like, fuck you.
Yes. Yes. And then they have the match at Survivor Series, which is a watershed match, great fucking match. Then you start into the Bret getting screwed shit, and you got the Royal Rumble finish. And then you head to the fucking I Quit match at WrestleMania, which wasn't even supposed to happen. I'm glad Shawn Michaels had a fake knee injury or whatever, because that was better than what we would have got out of Bret and Shawn. As much as I like to watch Bret wrestle Shawn, and then you roll into the fucking Hart Foundation stuff, and it's just that feud, that rivalry. It's just, to me, it's just the fucking shit. Like, it's just so good. It's pro wrestling at its best.
And I'm sure if the other people have said it, but you know what the craziest thing about Steve's fucking run is? That he was hurt for like 70% of it.
Yeah. And also, his run at the top, like, it feels like he was the top.
Years.
Yeah, it feels like he was the top guy forever. He was the top guy from like WrestleMania 14 to WrestleMania 17, because by WrestleMania 18, he's in a match with Scott Hall at WrestleMania and he's on the outs with the company. Like, his main event run, his big run's only like 3.5 years long, but it feels like he was the top guy forever.
Yeah, and
that also is because the booking was so much more fast paced. Like, they just told so many stories in just a short amount of time.
Yeah, and that's where sometimes with wrestling friends that I have, I try to tell them it's like, I don't want to sound negative when I say it, like, because I would say that I'm probably a bigger Steve Austin fan than I am a Hulk Hogan fan. I'm like, Hulk Hogan had a better fucking run than Steve Austin did.
And he had two of them.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Hogan too, is he had the Hulk Hogan run and he had the Hollywood Hogan run.
Yeah, but I'm just talking WWF wise.
Right.
Like,
right.
When you talk about box office, Steve made more money, but Hogan was around a lot longer. But I know we're talking about Bret and Steve, but like you said, it's like the ambulance roll is one of the best rolls of all time. And there was it was so fucking chaotic And yeah, like,
is there ever, be honest, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, sustained, wild, excited, loud for the entire thing? Is there ever a more jacked crowd than during the 10-man tag in the 90s than during the 10-man tag at the Stampede? Is there a louder crowd that where you can't hear the fucking theme music when the Hart Foundation comes out at the Stampede?
No, it's not even just through the match. It's from the minute the hits. It's insane.
Yeah.
Those fucking people were like, finally we matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we're finally gonna be able to voice our fucking opinion. And that match is, in my opinion, one of the greatest masterpieces in the history of professional wrestling.
No, there's no doubt. It absolutely is.
And I just like, I wish I would have thought about Brett and Austin, but I was just thinking of, like, you know,
Mm-hmm. Oh, but Austin McMahon is a fucking 100% solid choice, though. It's not like you made a bad choice.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, that feud, and I know he got shit on the way out and everything, like, whatever you want to say about it. I don't want to talk about Screwjob, because Screwjob is the second most debated thing on a wrestling podcast after the other thing that I don't want to talk about. But I don't think enough people understand that Bret Hart is the reason the Attitude Era started.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
And he wasn't there for any of it. That's why nobody thinks about it. But without Bret Hart, you don't have an attitude. Without all that shit with Bret, you don't have the Attitude Era.
Right.
Like, if Bret would have stuck around, it would have just been status quo, and we might have been talking about fucking Bret Hart versus Henry Godwin.
But that's the 90s rivalries, high five, low five. Before we leave this week, I just wanted to let everybody know, if you don't know this, you should, just for old time's sake. I went and got my DVD out, found my DVD out and got it out the other day and watched it. I think it's available on Tubi streaming. But if you've never seen it, or if you haven't seen it in a long time, take some time this week to watch Beyond the Mat.
It's a great documentary.
It is, and the reason I say that is because recently this week, Barry Blaustein passed away.
I didn't know that.
The guy that brought us Beyond the Mat. Also wrote a lot of, like, Eddie Murphy's stuff in the 80s. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Barry Blaustein passed away this past week. So once I saw that on the thing, it triggered my memory. I was like, you know what? I haven't watched Beyond the Mat in a few years. I'm going to get out my DVD and throw it in and watch Beyond the Mat.
Come on, baby.
I've been apprehended by these white people.
Come on, baby. Let the good times roll. So that back you then, talked about what
back then, fucking. But I'm just saying, people don't understand either. Like, younger people don't understand back then. Beyond the Mat and Wrestling with Shadows. How many times did we watch them?
That was like crack.
Oh,
that was
God,
like crack, man.
I can see what's going on. I know what's going on behind the scenes in pro wrestling. Yeah. Oh my God.
No fucking idea.
Oh man. Yeah, these kids today have no idea. That fucking blew your mind, man.
Before that, all we had was Grunt which wasn't even real.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time, by the way. Grunt, the wrestling movie, is one of the funniest fucking movies of all time.
It's good shit.
And one of
pal.
my favorite things ever. But like you said, like before we started talking, you said something about doing recommendations.
Yeah.
So you recommend everybody go and watch and Beyond the
Beyond the
Mat.
Mat. Yes.
Go ahead and do that. The series finale of one of my favorite shows of all time just happened yesterday.
Hmm.
And
I know what you're gonna
if
say.
you've never watched The Boys, you got to watch The Boys.
Mm-hmm. So
Did you watch the series finale?
Nope. Because
Okay, I won't spoil it.
no,
then.
yeah, don't. Because I am a person that is not patient and does not like to wait. Therefore, I wait until the entire season of something is over and then watch it all at once. So now that the season is over, yes, in the next week or so, I will be watching the season.
Okay. Well, I
don't like to watch things week to week. I don't know. I guess I'm spoiled by streaming.
That's fine. But I think The Boys, and there's a lot of people who are shitting on the finale of it. But I think The Boys is one of the,
and that's the internet. You know what? People shitting on stuff. I'm a wrestling fan and a Star Wars fan. Fuck it. I don't give a shit what some asshole on the internet thinks.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
But
you like it?
I think
you like what you like, people. Like what you like.
Yeah. Well, I think The Boys is one of the funniest and finest made television shows of the last fucking 20 years. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch it.
I agree with Aaron. I recommend The Boys. And we recommend Beyond the Mat. And I recommend we sign off because I've got to pee.
Yeah. So the next time you listen to us, we'll be.
Hey, that works. That kind of works out. I'm sorry about Barry Blaustein passing away, but it kind of works out. We're going to watch 50 Years of Funk, doesn't it?
Yes.
I just mentioned Beyond. Yeah, I mentioned Beyond the Mat, and one of the main throughways in Beyond the Mat is the 50 Years of Funk show. So that's ironic, actually.
So, all right, there you go, folks.
That'll be our next show. So yeah, definitely watch Beyond the Mat, so you'll know what show we're referring to next week when we go into It Came From YouTube and watch the 50 Years of Funk show from 1997. I have not watched it in a very long time, so looking forward to that. And unless you have anything else, Aaron, we're going to sign off.
I know.
All right, we'll see everybody next week. Have a great Memorial Day, and we'll see you next week for 50 Years of Funk 30 years later.